If you've been wondering just who is the voice of the Busy Beak Podcast, in this episode, we take a deep dive into my experience with exhibition poultry. I'll be interviewed by a very special friend of mine. His name is Kurtis Dam-Mikkelsen, or better known as international fashion icon Miss Fame of Miss Fame Beauty and RuPaul's Drag Race. I hope this episode will give you some insight about who I am, my background with poultry, and also a little glimpse into my relationship with Kurtis. You're listening to the Busy Beak Podcast, where we talk about all things bird, from parrots to chickens and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian Diaz. Follow us on social media at The Busy Beak. Well, welcome to the Busy Beak Podcast, everyone. Today, it's going to be a little bit different because we're going to interview me. I realized that our past two episodes were about other people, and you have yet to really know who I am and what my background is. One of my dear friends is here to assist me with that, all the way from Zurich, Switzerland.
It's a common thread, a trend from the last one that you just shared with Reto, is that we keep pulling you back to Switzerland. We're finding solutions to get you here. Introductions. I think it's really interesting how we met. We met because of a chicken show in Paso Robles, and it was, I forget exactly what time of the year. It might have been around September. I usually try, when visiting family, because I'm from the Central Coast, go to the poultry show that they have once a year at the fairgrounds. Right. And I remember seeing you, and me and my cousin, who are both chicken fanatics, were like, or poultry people, we need to talk to you. And we ended up talking with you, and I believe you had your saramas at the show. And it was exciting because, I used to show birds. That's why we're here. I used to also show lambs, and I was in 4-H and FFA when I was living in the Central Coast. And then I moved away, and it's been a long time, but there's a full circle moment we'll get to talk about during this conversation. And I think that me seeing you reignited my want to get involved, and you were deeply immersed in poultry. And I think for me, what kept me tethered to the conversation is talking with you over the course of the past few years. So can you give me a bit of background on how you got involved with poultry and showing them?
Oh gosh, well, my relationship with poultry goes way back to when I was a little kid. My grandparents helped raise me when I was a baby in Mexico. They had all kinds of poultry, on their land. And some of my earliest memories are going out with my grandma to collect eggs with her, mark the ones that she wanted the hens to incubate, sitting on her rocking chair while we threw grains and whatnot to them. It was a really magical childhood and beautiful memories to have. And that just stuck with me throughout my entire life. Then when I was a little bit older and I was in the States, I joined the 4-H and the FFA. For those who don't know, they're youth organizations mostly based on agriculture and raising and showing of animals. Poultry it's kind of universal in that it's easier to raise birds than it is to raise cattle or hogs, just because of their size, the amount of space that it takes to care for them, the resources that are needed, basically, financially and etc. Yeah, so I just got really involved showing them at the local fairs. And then as an adult, I came back after college and decided to really get serious about getting in line and selecting a breed that I was really passionate about. So
what was your first breeds that you got started? What was the thing that hooked you? Because Reto talked about how he got silkies from the zoo, which I'm like, how? What kind of zoo is this?
Right, exactly.
And Reto is in the previous podcast that you had just filmed while you were here, and you just released previously.
Yeah.
So if people are questioning who Reto is, they can go back and listen to the previous podcast and segments, so you get a bunch of information from another expert in the field, animal science background with Reto. And you've got, I think you said 20 years of experience working with poultry, show animals, and you're still going, which is fantastic. But what were those first breeds that got you hooked?
Oh gosh. Well, as a kid, I got a couple of Polish from a dear friend of mine, Dr. Max Eby. He's a veterinarian here locally. Wonderful supporter of youth. He breeds guinea pigs, and he had some showbirds that he had. Gave me my first showbirds, which were Polish. And also, I ended up getting some black-tailed white Japanese Bantams.
Is
So
the Japanese? Oh, so the Japanese are the short-legged variety.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they
Super
call
short.
them shabo.
They call them shabo in Europe.
For the novice that's listening in, if you are imagining, you've probably seen them if you've gone to a poultry show, and if you're learning about birds, it's always very important that you get an American standard or just a standard, either a bantam. Well, you'll probably have more variation in the American standard. This one has most of the images of the birds that are shown, so you can understand. I mean, this is like my chicken Bible, so I can look at it
It
as
is for
reference.
everyone, I
It's
think.
super helpful. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But okay, so you had Polish and you also had the Japanese.
hmm
And what was your evolution? Because I know there's an evolution. I've
Yes.
gotten to
Yes.
witness it firsthand.
Absolutely. So those were my main breeds that I showed in my youth, and then as an adult, when I came back, I again, Dr. Max Eby, we'll blame him for all of this.
Yes, we have to
uh,
target. Somebody has to be the
somebody has
one
to
we
be a
point the finger
scapegoat.
at.
He, I went over to his house, and he had Sarama Bantams. For those who don't know, Sarama Bantams, they originate in Malaysia. They're the world's smallest breed of chicken. They are very like upright. They're like the like Dolly Partons and the Arnold Schwarzeneggers of like the chicken world. They just like push little like breasts out and strut, and they're just super animated and really just fun to watch. So I was instantly intrigued with them, and my weakness are pure white animals, because I think there's nothing more beautiful than a pure white animal that's done right. And I saw in his call pen the of roosters. People don't know, a call pen is where you put the animals that are not gonna quite work for breeding or for show. And I saw a white rooster in there, and I asked him, I was like, "Can I have that one?" And he
He's
said,
all, why
"Sure,
not?
why not? Go ahead, go for it, go nuts." So I took him in, and that was my first white American Sarama. He was huge. I think he ended up weighing about 28 ounces. The standard is 16 ounces, so he was way bigger
He
than
was
he
a
needed to
solid
be.
bird.
He
He
was
he
very
was
solid.
the standard size of the.
Yes,
No, kidding.
yes,
There
exactly.
isn't, because they're original bantams, right?
hmm
They're properly. There's no standard variety
Right,
of
right,
a Sarama.
right.
What is that called when it's a true bantam?
True bantam. Yep, that's the terminology for it. Yeah.
And the white, when mentioning white, it makes sense because there's no distractions. There's no flash to throw you off. You see the lines. You see
Right.
exactly as it should be. So
Exactly.
it makes sense. If it's
hmm
going to work, it has to work flawlessly across the board.
Exactly. Exactly. It, yeah. If there's anything wrong with the white bird, you see it like instantly, especially in their silhouette if you put them on a against like a darker background. So that bird, he had a lot of issues, a lot of flaws. The shape of his sickles, his size was the biggest thing. His wings were just huge and dragged on the ground. He had too much fluff. By today's standards, he was a terrible bird. But he was the foundation.
But how do you, because I know we've talked about it, and
hmm
mentorship and having a mentor within this specific hobby.
hmm
And, to call it a hobby feels so light-handed because it's a true obsession. And I
Yes.
understand it because I'm completely obsessed with the birds I have. And I look forward to the generations to come. I look forward to the project. Uh, how do you find that mentor? And what does it look like to learn these essential steps to better a breed and variety that you've taken on, specifically the Saramas? How
hmm
did the guidance get you to where you were like, okay, we're really solid, these birds are fantastic? Because they are.
Well, that took some time. I'll have to be honest with you. It's very, very difficult. Takes a lot of work, a lot of resources. Like I said, with that bird, he had a lot of issues, but the one thing that he did have is a beautiful, beautiful head. Gorgeous head, beautiful comb that really followed through, and something that I really focused on and wanted to maintain within my line. When people saw birds, white American Saramas at shows, they knew, oh, that's a Christian bird. It's really easy to pick them out. With the white American Sarama Bantams, they're the newest breed at the time in the standard. There weren't very many serious breeders of white American Sarama Bantams. In the Sarama world, we also have what's called tabletop judging, which is what they do in their country of origin, which is Malaysia. It took on here in the United States. So the breeders that were out there were focusing on that, and not so much the colors or the varieties, or establishing set varieties. Really, you had a mixed bag of birds all over the place. So the initial birds that I had to cross that white bird to other varieties and then try to cross back. In terms of finding a mentor, very, very difficult, because really there wasn't anyone that was focusing on the white American straw variety. They had gotten, the breeders that were out there had gotten them into the standard, but then shift their focus to other varieties. So even though they still had some, it wasn't their main project anymore. I researched on Facebook and just making connections and whatnot, and I got connected with a couple of breeders out east. Another breeder that was relatively close to me, got some more white birds in. Over the years, I created different lines, kind of experimenting, taking the best traits from each one and try to do complementary matings and breedings to get the aspects of the birds that I really wanted, those features, and really lock them down. And I'd say after about 5 years, I stopped bringing new birds in, and then it was just line breeding, which means that you just breed within the line, father to daughter, mother to son, aunt to, what do they call that?
Yeah, to perfect what you've really curated within
Yeah,
that specific variety and breed. And
absolutely.
it's actually the way you get standard looking animals is
Mm-hmm.
to line breed. And I've learned that through phone calls that we've taken, as I've asked so many questions. And I find, because in a way you're a friend, but you're also a mentor because you have experience, you have a lot of knowledge, and you're willing to share that with me, and also to entertain my enthusiasm, because it's the beginning of something that I've been neglecting due to the location. I was living in a city, I wasn't able to have animals,
Mm-hmm.
and the excitement to reconnect. And I would say Reto happens to be my mentor here. I have tons of questions, he has tons of answers, and then I get to be around other poultry community people and their respected breeds and varieties, and they're bringing in insights about, for my birds being Birchen or Birkenfarbig, that they are, for those that also are raising those within Orpingtons, what they're seeing as you know consequences of that specific variety. Like, there's so much information you're going to get from different breeders that have the same variety of bird you have regarding the feather type.
Yep.
So, or whatever, if they have a rose comb or if they have a certain feature that you're trying to perfect,
Right.
I find it invaluable. Everyone's sharing knowledge together. And I find the community in Europe, because in Central Europe here is so small, that there is a huge community aspect, because these are like
Mhm.
farmers.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
most of the time a side hustle or a side enjoyment for most people that have whatever their 9 to 5 is, or they're farmers, and then they have
Mm-hmm.
the hobby on the side of the joy of show animals, show poultry, show
Right.
cattle, whatever they may be.
Right.
So I was going to also ask you, um, because I know you had evolved. You'd had, so currently, just in case people aren't aware, off camera, I'm looking through my ABA right now to find your winning birds that were placed in the American Bantam. Oh, here we are.
Yay.
Let's talk about him. When was that photo taken? And he looks fantastic. I know that we talked about there's even better photos, and you know how it is
Yes.
with your birds. You know how they can photograph.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous image, and anybody that's seen this bird specifically in Central Europe was blown away right here.
Yep.
Uh, but we know our birds, so when you're like, there's a better, if it was just like that, it would have been
Right.
French kiss. So when was this picture taken?
So that picture was taken at the American Bantam Association National Show in 2013. And that bird actually was the reserve breed American Strong Bantam. He wasn't my very best bird there. And there's, yeah, like I said, there's better pictures of him. I wish in that photo, he would have maybe been posed a little bit more back, to really like show off that nice big prominent breast that he has, and that really upright stance. So in that photo, he's crouching down a little bit.
Yeah,
Which, yeah,
I understand.
he's still beautiful. You can tell he has a really nice head, a nice comb. He has a big full tail, just a beautiful bird.
Please input your pictures of your birds.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of images in my phone because I'm like a proud mom. So I'm like
yep,
all the time, and I like watching the progress, because you get them
yeah,
to a certain point, and there's that window where everything's working, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep them there, and then they can continue to. I mean, I'm always impressed week after week, and I'm like, oh, I really like where they're at this week.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much watching the week to week, or if I travel and I'm gone for 2 weeks, I come back, huge changes. Subtle, but enough that I've been able to see the difference where the sickles are looking much larger, or, you're keeping track on an earlobe, you're
Mm-hmm.
keeping track on those feathers that are still kind of encased until they've
Mm-hmm.
bloomed. Add seramas, and you also have the American white leghorn,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly? Am I categorizing it? There's a step
Yep.
system. You have to acknowledge where they're from, or what class they're in. Are
Yep.
they standard? You have the standard size. They're
Mm-hmm.
magnificent. And that's when I met you in San Diego, and
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen you since the show, and I got to see your champion row,
Yeah.
your champion row
Essentially.
at home. Yeah.
With the white leghorns, it really connects to the American Strama Bantams and my success with them. In 2014, around that time, I went to a big show, the Tennessee Valley Poultry Club in Tennessee. I flew some birds out there, showed them, and I was clerking for one of the judges. And it just so happened that that judge got a chance to judge my birds. Of course, he didn't know that they were my birds because confidentiality and fairness and all that. He was a very respected poultry judge, third generation poultry person. And he looked at them and he said, wow, these are the best seramas I've ever seen. And that was a huge compliment for me. I was over the moon. And it was a national show for the American Bantam Association. I got best of breed, best and reserve breed with my birds. And then when it came down to selecting champion single comb clean leg, which is the class that seramas are in, I was overjoyed that my bird was actually considered in those placings. You have your heritage breeds, which like the Plymouth Rock Bantams, the Rhode Island Red Bantams, the Leghorn Bantams. These are all established breeds with breeders that have been breeding them for generations. So they're very much perfected. It's almost impossible to beat them. We put all of the best of breeds up in a row. And as the judge is evaluating them again to get the best in reserve, he looks at them, and then he starts pulling birds and says, put this one back, put this one back. So it's a process of elimination, essentially. There was 3 birds still up there, and mine was still there.
So your heart was racing.
Yeah, I almost peed my pants.
It's so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the best news you could get as a breeder is that your animals are winning. I mean,
yes,
it means you've done something seriously right. You've aligned,
100%.
You've gotten there.
100%.
And then keeping it there.
Yes.
But you now have the quality.
Yes.
But now you have, and you also have the eye and the mindset of how you got there in the first place because of education, time, generational line breeding. Like you understand the dynamic to get to succeed. To get those cards, to get that report card that says this is a quality animal and it's looking quite fantastic. It's not I just bought it, I'm in now. It's you've worked for it. It's your actual work and dedication to the breed.
Absolutely. So to end that story, we didn't win best or reserve, but it was just an honor to be considered. Which was then the following year was the Centennial Show for the American Bantam Association in Columbus, Ohio. I flew out for that show. I did take some of my birds to compete, but most importantly, I was clerking for a respected poultry breeder and judge, Steve Beatty, who's also a huge name in white leghorns. So Steve and we judged the Cochin National at that show, and I remember there was 600 something Cochins. I mean, so many. I think there was like 160 just black pullets that we needed to judge. We also did the Japanese Bantam National, and we did the Leghorn Bantams and a couple of other things. But literally, he and I started judging at 9 a.m. and we didn't stop until 6 p.m. We didn't even take a lunch.
And how many judges?
Exhausted.
At that show, I think there was like maybe 12, I want to say, because it was such a huge show. I think there was 14,000 birds that were shown. So to thank me for my efforts judging with him and being his clerk, Steve Beatty sent me 2 dozen chicks that following spring of white leghorns, of his line of white leghorns that he's had for decades, and that he's won. You know, he's a master breeder. He's won so many awards and accolades. It was a huge honor. Uh,
Is he still showing?
he is. He is actually still showing and judging. I know. I know. He's still going strong. I raised those birds, conditioned them, and showed them, and did really well with them. I won Best of Breed many times at shows. I won Champion Mediterranean several times, Reserve Large Fowl, Champion Large Fowl. And word started getting out that, oh, Christian has really nice white leghorns. And, you know, where did you get them? I said, well, of course, Steve Beatty. Several years later, Steve asked me to be his partner, breeding partner. I got teary-eyed because it's a huge, huge honor and validation to have someone like that that's dedicated such a big piece of their life and who they are to something, and for them to say that I want you to continue this legacy for me. I want you. I want to work together with you, and I'm still getting through it.
It's a community. It's like a
Yeah,
second family, you know?
yeah,
We
absolutely.
find people and places in the world that can allow us to be our authentic self
Hmm.
and allow us to find people that are as interested and passionate about something that maybe not everybody can understand.
Hmm.
And when you're amongst that community, it feels like there's a big joyous part of you. It's a unifier. You
Yeah.
know, whatever your background is, whoever you're coming from, when you walk into that show or you walk onto somebody's property and check out animals with them, you start to
Hmm.
talk from the place of passion. It's like a specific tone in your voice and an enthusiasm, and it radiates. It's like it's almost, I'd say it is quite contagious because you can really get people on board to
Yeah.
find your passion when you explain it and show them. It's not just look at this cute baby chick. It's look at how magnificent an animal can be.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. And when you're doing it with somebody who has generations of dedication, it's such a admirable contribution towards each other's
Hmm.
lives
Hmm.
because he saw your dedication to making these chicks and breeding and continuing and thriving with the line that he bestowed to you.
Hmm.
It and then to say let's unify and draw strength together
Yep.
because you do need community strength here. It's something that you
Oh,
have to look
100%.
towards. Where can I lean? Is there anybody in the family that would like be interested as I am? You know, not everybody will possess the same passion for your animals.
Right.
You might get lucky, but if not there, you will find a friendship that will feel like family with somebody who
Absolutely.
totally gets it.
Absolutely.
How
Yes.
special.
Yeah. Steve said many times, he's like, you're like my son.
Accepted. Thank you.
Yeah.
You
Thank you.
know, the more the merrier. You know, they say it takes a
Absolutely.
village. And if it happens to be a patchwork, parable, kind of communal aspect of people in our lives that contribute to I, uh, all those parts of us that make us who
Hmm.
we are, it's quite special. And this is something that it's so rewarding because we do need, as people, I think we need a place to have passion
Hmm.
and something for me. What I've leaned to into with the poultry and having my own birds is it's reconnected me with nostalgia, with something from my childhood, something that I always felt,
Hmm.
which was that bond that me and my grandfather shared for chickens. And we would sit out there and just study them, and we would get more, and we collected
Yeah.
everything, and I
Yeah.
kept going with it. And now I'm understanding the excitement to focus and to build upon at least one. You know, I want to focus on what I have because I want to improve and I want to learn. And
Hmm.
it's a nice thing to actually retrain your mind to relearn new things. Whether
Yeah.
it's just, this is a nice way to get your brain excited about something when you have a passion for it.
Absolutely.
But that's
Absolutely.
that's beautiful. Do you keep in touch? Are you still talking as
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah?
All the time. Yeah. I mean, he's gonna be a part of my life for the rest of my life.
And so you had done like an interview about your life. Is it Univision or
Univision. Yeah.
Univision?
Hmm.
It was a documentary that was
Hmm.
presented in Mexico
Hmm.
um, about the origin story of who you are and your relationship to the birds.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like to be able to tell your story and also the whirlwind about traveling with birds to a show.
That was really cool. Came at me completely unexpected. I got a phone call from the reporter from Univision, and he said he had seen the documentary that was done by country music television called Chicken People in English, and he said, wouldn't it be so cool to do one in Spanish for the Spanish speaking world? And he reached out to the Ohio National and the president, Clell Agler, a friend of mine, another Leghorn breeder, actually. He said, you need to talk to that guy in California, Christian. So he called me and told me what he wanted to do, and I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. Why not? He came all the way out to my house from Miami, interviewed me on my parents' property, interviewed my mom, got footage of the birds, and really talked about my life and how, kind of like this interview now, what got me into poultry, what we're doing, my judging background, the success of my birds, those things. And to continue on to that story after the home visit, they wanted me to follow me to the Ohio National to film my birds in competition there. And huge mess getting my birds to the Ohio National.
From San Diego to Ohio National.
Yeah, from San Diego to Columbus, Ohio. The birds didn't arrive, and which meant that I didn't have birds at the show. They actually, just didn't even make it on the plane. They had to go back to the property, and
how many animals were you traveling with?
I had entered 3 males, American Samoan Bantams. Actually, no, 2 male American Samoan Bantams and 3 Leghorns, a trio. Yep, cockerel and 2 pullets, and yep. But I still ended up going to the show. I called the reporter and I told him what had happened, and I said, "Do you still want to come? Because I don't even have birds here." and he said, "Oh, let me talk to the producers." Calls me back. He says, "We think it's fantastic. We love the drama."
Of course. You're like, but this is real.
Literally, this is real.
This is terrible.
So they followed me around the show and really kind of extended the interview. I got to talk about, the showing process, the judging process, kind of what it felt like to be at that high level of a show, seeing the birds that were there, and knowing that my birds could have done very well if they had actually made it. So 2 weeks later was the American Poultry Association National Show, which was being held in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And when the Univision reporters followed me there also. And this time my birds did arrive, thankfully. I was able to show them. I was clerking at that show for another judge, but the reporters were able to kind of walk around and see the different birds and kind of update me on what was happening, because it wasn't only the American Poultry Association National, but it was also the North American Leghorn Club National Show and the Mediterranean Breeders Association National Show, which is the class of birds that Leghorns are in. So this is like a three-way national for the Leghorns. And they said, people kept saying, your bird's doing really well. He looks fantastic, referring to the male. And, I'm clerking, I'm judging birds and whatnot. I can't walk over there and see what's happening. But, he ended up placing, winning Best of Breed Leghorn, Champion Mediterranean, and he was up there on Champion Row. So
fantastic.
I was over the moon. To even get that far was huge, because this was a massive show with super high quality birds. And the next day was the Champion Row judging, where they decide who the champion large fowl of the show is, the champion waterfowl, and the champion bantam, and then champion turkey, and then those 4 compete then for super grand champion of the show and reserve grand champion of the show. Well, my bird placed grand champion large fowl of the show at the American Poultry Association National. Huge.
Huge.
It's my biggest win, I'd say.
How many birds are at these shows?
I think there was 5,000 birds at that show, so it was very, very good size. Yeah,
A
with breeders
huge
from all
win,
over the
such a special
country,
win.
Canada. Super special. I was super proud um, of that accomplishment. And yeah, he didn't win a Super Grand Champion of the show. That was the winner was a Sebastopol goose, and the reserve Grand Champion was the Silky Bantam. But still, Grand Champion large fowl was just more than I could have asked for. It was
It's such a special
incredible.
experience, and
Yeah.
also to, I mean, I'm proud of your birds, and I didn't have the backstory with your birds. I just know your passion, and when we were in the national show here in Switzerland, it was my go-to card to unify us with people that were not necessarily English speaking. I was like,
Right.
he's got the grand champion bird from, and I was wanting to connect with people because of the passion, and I knew
Right.
how exciting it is to showcase a quality animal from such a large scale show and be able
Hmm.
to bring that to a conversation amongst people that didn't have maybe the language to connect. But
Right.
just showing an image was a way for people to show their enthusiasm and want
Right.
to also show you their birds. It was
Absolutely.
it brought us
Absolutely.
all together.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, I remember just like pulling out my phone, showing them a picture of the legger, and it's like Grand Champion, and then it's like oh cool, and then just pointing and like the enthusiasm of that essential nonverbal communication with that
Because you
language
have to
barrier,
find
but
what
still.
you have to find the gap in between when language is not a connecting factor.
Right.
There's always something, and
Right.
passion's a factor. And when you have this win under your belt, did you feel like there's now a pressure, or did you feel like I've arrived at a place where I can kind of subside and soak that in and also reevaluate?
Mm.
Or do I keep going and breeding and trying to keep topping that win?
Yes. And yes, keep going and breeding and topping that win because there's the next step to that would have been a Super Grand Champion of show. Um, yeah, I mean that's especially at a national show.
And I
Yeah.
know that you've evolved your relationship with poultry,
Hmm.
that you've become a judge now.
Hmm.
Are you've become a judge because I know that you've traveled and you've gotten to bring your knowledge and your history, your own experiences, and also the studying of the standard, the APA and the ABA. Uh, so, what is your relationship with poultry today? How are you existing within the world of
Yeah.
feather fanciers?
Yeah, that's a great question. A few years ago, a couple of years ago now, I I decided that I wanted to step back from actively breeding and showing my birds. I wanted to focus more on other activities in my life, but also I wanted to still remain connected. And from my earliest beginnings with showing exhibition poultry, I would always volunteer to clerk at shows. And by clerking, I mean assisting the judge. So picking up that knowledge about different breeds, the judging methods, kind of looking at the finer details of each bird and the point system. I became officially part of the American Bantam Association's like judges apprenticeship program. And funny enough, the back in 2020, most people remember that year with COVID.
We're trying to block it out.
Exactly.
It's rough.
So it just so happened that March I was scheduled to fly to Salt Lake City for a show and officially take my judge's licensing exam. And of course, because of COVID, that didn't happen. It just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. And then when shows finally did open up, then we had another issue now with avian influenza, canceling shows across the country. So it's just, you know, several years of essentially waiting for that official piece of paper. But in the meantime, I have been judging. I've been judging the local county fairs for the youth for several years now. I also had an opportunity to travel to Mexico to be the judge for their national show in Querétaro last year, which was a super cool experience. Seeing how the poultry hobby is in that part of the world, and just recently I was able to travel to to Switzerland and experienced the Swiss National Show, which was a huge treat for me. Not only because I got to see you, but also because I got to experience that kind of show and see really the differences of how their show system works compared to ours, and this just like the breadth of varieties that are out there in Europe. Not just the varieties, but
There are a
how
lot of
well they are.
varieties.
Yeah, how well they're
Yeah, and people
developed.
really have a dedication towards the varieties here. And I know that in the US, there's almost a more strict dedication to the serious breeder that would say stick with the most heritage variety. I don't know if I'm using my terminology correctly, but I'm trying to stay on track here. But that there's certain varieties that are deemed classics
Hmm.
that you focus on if you want to be seen as a serious breeder.
Hmm.
But it's nice that there is places in the world where there's enthusiasm to see all the different ideas of
Yeah.
each breed possible, and that there's
Hmm.
people dedicated to perfect to the best of their ability that particular variety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw so many varieties I've never even seen before. I mean, I've heard about
What
them
were
on
some that
paper,
stood
but
out
yeah.
for you that you were like, oh, that's something I would like to make possible just to have?
Oh my gosh, there was the that silver blue Wyandotte.
It was stunning.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, even before I got a chance to look at the European standard or even talk to the breeders about what their type was, I walked up to that row and said, "Holy smokes, that bird is just stunning, just so well put together. He just had presence, and I mean, and the color was amazing."
For me, it was also like something I'd never seen before, and I
Yeah.
haven't been to as many shows as you've been to, but it's something right off the bat you spot. You can just
Hmm.
tell right away.
Yes.
It's a well put together animal. Like everything
Absolutely.
is working in
Yes.
that, and the image of that bird was completely working.
Yes, and beauty and symmetry and yeah, those things that you pick up on if you have that eye. The other breed that I really liked were the Rhinelanders, which is a Swiss breed. They reminded me of Leghorns, but with a rose comb. Granted, rose comb Leghorns exist, but these birds they had a much more level, flat back. They still had that nice big tail, but they were a thicker, stockier bird. They were meant to be dual purpose, whereas the leghorn is just meant to be an
Egg production.
egg production. Yeah, so I really like those, especially because they came in standard and bantam sizes, and I mean I won't lie to you, I wanted to take some home if it was possible.
But you did talk positively about the D'Anvers. That
Yes.
am I correct? It's a Belgian breed.
Yes, yes, the Belgian D'Anvers, phenomenal quality. Uh, well, I mean, we're going back to their roots, their origins in Europe. The beards and muffs on those birds were outstanding. Much bigger, much fuller than what you see here in the States. Their colors, the just the amount of varieties that they had, not only the amount of varieties but the quality of those varieties, because the standard for the D'Anvers Bantam is essentially the same in Europe as it is in the United States. It's one of the ones that's parallel, and I was taken back by them. Just amazing.
Yeah, and I think we also saw what is the Italianers? The
Yeah, the
ones that are the
Italianer.
Leghorns, but of Europe, and they're, you can correct me on how I'm saying it, but that there was like the barred, like basically
Yes.
barred variety.
Yeah.
And it was striking even for me, who's a bit naive about, I see things that I don't know if it's available in the
Hmm.
US. And I know that there's certain images in the standard that there might not even be a breeder for that specific breeder variety at this state.
Right.
So we can't lose those varieties because once they disappear, it's kind of a good luck situation if you can maybe find a breeder in Europe to ship eggs, which is very complicated. But yeah, there seems to
Right.
be a bit of don't let them disappear.
Right.
Don't let those varieties disappear.
Preserve them.
They're there for a reason. They're beautiful. They
Yeah.
deserve attention as well.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of passion that I felt at this specific show. People really dedicated, and also just learning as we go, because I was listening to how you saw things, and I was also listening to how Reto saw things, and also around regarding the birds,
Hmm.
because there are differences. There are certain breeds that are vastly different, like the game birds,
Oh yeah,
that look completely
hugely
different in
different.
Europe versus, even the sea brights, the size and the
Yes,
physicality, the stance. It was
and the
They
silkies.
didn't
That's
look
another
the
one.
same as the ones
Hmm.
that I'd seen. I think in the US are quite phenomenal, the shape and the silkies.
Yes,
The US has a perfect round in the cochins. You have
yes,
those perfect round, they look like
yep.
a ball of fluff.
Hmm.
And in Europe, I feel they weren't at the same level, but we know that you can have access to certain quality of birds in Germany. We didn't get to go to beyond Switzerland,
Hmm.
but the German National Show apparently has a great representation of the breeds and varieties that are out there
Yeah,
today. So it would be fantastic to also check in and see how it's looking. But
yeah.
again, the avian flu has affected travel and the ability.
Hmm.
So we're in that certain situation. I will add, we did have a show in the last few weeks, but we did it remotely by the judge going to the farmer's property and
Oh yeah.
assessing individual birds in trios. So same as you saw at the national show in Switzerland, but they do it as a cantonal, like for per canton, which is like a county in the
Hmm.
U.S.
Hmm.
Since Switzerland is so small, the canton is also much smaller in scale.
Hmm.
So you're competing with a smaller radius.
Yeah.
Uh,
Basically,
but
just your breeders that are right there local to you. Yeah.
Exactly. But we just actually went to pick up the awards, and they did allow bunnies at the show, so we got to see a hall full of bunnies. I have a few pictures in my phone I could send to you. And then they just didn't have the poultry. They had one row of maybe 18 pigeons,
Yeah.
which they said it was a little easier to have a few pigeons versus poultry. I it's a very touchy time of the world regarding all viruses. So I think people are very cautious, understandably so. You don't want to risk losing your hard work. Your
Right.
animals need to stay
Right.
alive in order for you to stay in the hobby. Um, I was going to ask you, let me just see, what do you feel is next? I know that you're focusing on judging, but what do you
Hmm.
feel next? Are you gonna Will you breed again, and can you see a when in your life? Or is it a nice break right now? Do you like the position of being a judge and where that
Yeah.
means for you today?
Yeah. Well, good news is I'll be traveling to Northern California at the end of the month to finally take my judge's licensing exam at the APA semi-annual show for big poultry
Congratulations.
breeders. So I'm excited to finally get that done. Let's see, where do I see myself going now? I would like to breed birds again and show because it's a huge passion of mine. It'll always be a part of me. But I would like to wait until I have my own property where I can raise my birds. Up until now, my birds have been at my parents' property. And when I would leave or travel, because I travel a lot through my business and work ventures, my parents would take care of them. So my parents are getting older, and it didn't feel right to expect them to take care of my animals. And I know that they're not comfortable having other people come to their property all the time and whatnot. So I made a decision to disperse my flock then. But back to the present, I don't know, maybe in the next 5 years or so, I plan on buying a home. As soon as the interest rates go down and hopefully the price of housing goes down a little bit as well, yeah, I would like to buy a property with some acreage on it and raise birds again. But for the time being, I'm really enjoying judging. I'm probably going to be going down to Peru and Ecuador and Costa Rica to judge their shows. Possibly in the future, maybe I'll even get to judge in Europe. Because as you know, I picked up a European standard. I'm learning German
Yes,
to
you're
be able to read
translating
it.
it
Yes, I'm
because they
translating
don't
it.
have. It's so hard to get you were looking for French,
Yes,
but as we learned in person, it's near
mhm,
impossible
near
to get the
impossible.
French standard. So you're like,
Yep.
you said, well, you have a standard, I'll take it. And you
Yes.
started to translate it.
Yes.
And I have my rosecomb pages just behind me. And I have my pile of literature and like the great thing, these little booklets that you get at shows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I stole this from Reto, and I find them so important because it's sometimes the only reference images you'll have of your variety. Also, who's breeding them, where, and I'll bring this up really quick, just as a fun note. So today, my my Birchin started to lay. Like my trophy pen
Yeah.
is laying. I have 3 setups, and I'm really, it's tricky because I've learned so much from talking with you and Reto, and I found that the ones, they got the same marks since the moment you came to the show, and now the most updated show, the birds that I showed, exact same marks. So 2 different judges have the same opinions about my birds, which is great. It means that they're seeing the
Consistency.
qualities by
Yep.
the European standard, and and I love it because it's a great reference point because I can use this. Plus, as we talked about, this is what the card looks like for anybody that's curious. And it has a lot of handwritten notes. One of these I have is written in French, and the other one in German because we had a judge from France and a judge from Swiss German judge. So
Mhm.
the notes are thorough, like what they don't like, and what they wish to or be mindful of, I guess I would say.
Yes.
So as a result, egg 1 is resting in my house. I'm trying to keep it from being exposed outside at the farm. And I also wanted to acknowledge, and it'll connect to my next question, that by becoming friends with somebody who's a hobby breeder, who has access, who's within reach, which is all the things. When I first moved here, I was determined to uh, to make friendships on my own accord and not friends of my partners, but my own type of people.
Hmm.
So when I did find the poultry community here, very challenging because nothing's written in English. If you try to Google it, you won't find it. You have to write it in German or Swiss
Swiss
German,
German.
well, in German. So in order to pull up the website to show the poultry community here,
Hmm.
and once I found that, then I found the show schedule and breeders and what breeds and varieties were available. And that's how I became acquainted to Reto, was because his name kept popping up of breeds that I liked, like Rosecombs and Hamburgs and Minorcas. And he had so many birds when I first met him. Since then, he's moved from that farm we were at, and he's now at a smaller property, but
Hmm.
he's focusing all on his Bantams, all on Rosecombs.
Hmm.
And what I found beneficial is by building this friendship, he's extended his space. He found me a breeder. We hatched these Birchins that I'm now raising, and it got me involved. It gave me a social life that I desperately needed, and
Yes.
not just focused on the type of work that I do, but it gave me a connection to a community of people that I'm connected to because of my childhood. I
Hmm.
found it really sweet to know farmers here and see how things were done here and how agriculture works in this country in comparison to the US, because it's so small here and everything is done in a much smaller capacity. And I find it very respectful to the land. It's
Hmm.
never overproduced. They're really mindful about animal welfare. And as a result, building a friendship with somebody allowed me to have a place to house my animals and now look into an allotment garden, which will give me my own space. But I find that this has been a kind of a learning curve because I wouldn't have foreseen me finding a relationship that would help me reconnect to having my own animals. I'm so
Hmm.
glad I have my own animals. I go every day when possible and spend as much time with them, cleaning pens, feeding, watering, just watching, because I feel
Hmm.
like the best thing you could do is watch and
Yeah.
assess how they're looking, and
Yeah.
you take in a lot of information from that. So what would you give as a professional advice to um, a novice, somebody that's just like, I have a passion for it, but how do I get involved? How would you mentor somebody to just get involved
Hmm.
with poultry?
The best thing to do is to find a local show or one that's close to you.
And how
And
do you find those, by the way?
so if you're in the United States, you can go to the American Poultry Association's website or the American Bantam Association's website and look up shows there. We also have
Can you
another
attach a link?
right. I'll attach a link.
Just make sure
Yep,
there's a
yep.
link available because
Absolutely.
they're out there. They're hungry for it.
Yes. There's also another site called Poultry Show Central, and they list all the upcoming shows and the contacts and all those things depending on which area you're in. It's really well set up. Find them there, attend the show, and look at just spend the day walking around and looking at all the different breeds and varieties that there are, and if you see one or a few that really strike your eye, then try to make an effort to speak to the breeders or the exhibitors and get their story, like, what, get the details on this breed. Get the 411. Just start making those connections, make those relationships with those people, and you can really go from there. You can even buy some birds at the show. Sometimes they have sales areas here in the United States, and just get started. I'd say that's the hardest part for people, is just get started. And when you get started, you know you learn, you make mistakes, but you grow and just keep showing up. If you have some show birds, even though they might not be the very best birds out there, have patience with yourself and keep going to the shows, keep making the connections, those friendships with people, and people will see that you have the dedication, the commitment to take the poultry hobby seriously. And that's really how you get the attention of serious poultry breeders and judges that will mentor you. Because the last thing that a person like that is going to do is invest their time and energy in someone that they feel is just going to leave the hobby within a few months, or it's just like a passing thing for them. And I think that kind of goes with a lot of things in life. We only have so many hours in the day and so much energy to dedicate to something. When you find someone that has the same passion that you do, you are automatically drawn to them, and you want to dedicate your time and energy and resources to helping them grow.
I will add this because of when I became willing to find my community here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and thanks to social media, because on Facebook you have poultry communities and clubs specific to certain breeds. So
Mm-hmm.
I constantly am sharing images that I'm taking of other breeders' birds and crediting those breeders, but just to let other people know that are with that specific breed, how many other varieties are being developed and what they're looking like.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I find I take a lot of passion in sharing the image of other people's hard work. So they
Right.
can say, oh, wow, I didn't even know. I haven't seen them like that before. I haven't seen them at that quality before. And it's not even my animal, it's somebody else's animal. I'm just happy that it gives people excitement and enthusiasm about what's out there. And it's a great way, like, there's so many ways to be involved without actually owning an animal. You can be present at what the show schedules are, go to their shows. I've gone to like award ceremonies. I've gone to rabbit exhibits. I'm going to photograph and share on social about what other people are doing. Taking to social like we're doing now by sharing
Mm-hmm.
conversations around it. Buying a standard. All poultry literature, if you have a passion for it. For all the years that I could not have animals during COVID, I bought the APA and the ABA because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to look at birds, and the only access I had in a New York apartment was to look at the pages in
Mm-hmm.
the standards and to fantasize about, well, when I do have a property one day, what animals, what birds do I want?
Right.
Like, what can I learn about? And now that I've been around other breeders and I've seen those birds in action, a lot of the animals that I thought I wanted, I don't want because it's different. They look great,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I really like smaller animals because I'm also living in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So I know my cousin way back when she was showing in 4-H, she had an apartment silkie. She had a little hen that she kept in an enclosure. It was like a pet, like having a bunny, a little ball of fluff. But it gave her the access to be a 4-H member in a city in an apartment with one animal. She wasn't
Mm-hmm.
going to go as far and wide as maybe a top breeder that has generations, but she kept her skin in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to keep kids involved if you can have, like, find out what your regulations are where you live and what your zoning is. And if you are able to, in your backyard or community living, if you're living in an apartment, um, are your neighbors comfortable with you having a few hens? You
Mm-hmm.
could get beautiful hens. You could house beautiful hens and have the visual,
Mm-hmm.
and without the crowing. So, and certain birds are just more chill than other birds, and I think that
Right.
that's also important to learn. Heavier bodied birds, in my mind, are usually a bit more relaxed compared to flightier birds that are able to literally fly away. And you learn that just by being around them. If their temperaments are a bit intense, if you walk
Mm-hmm.
by their enclosure, I mean, any bird can be made tame, I would say, to a degree. if you're
Yes.
spending a lot of time with that animal, they will learn that you are their friend.
Hmm.
So, or that they're your,
That you're not a
you are
threat.
the, yeah, you're not the fox. So
Yes,
don't worry
exactly.
until
Exactly.
you are. No kidding. No, but it's definitely brought back an immense joy to be able to have these long-winded conversations with you, um, off of your podcast, just in regular life,
Hmm.
and to learn. And you've shared so much information with me over the course of the last year while I've lived in Switzerland, and been able to come all the way over here to see it firsthand and see how it's done here. And it was such a wonderful contribution to my experience, because you just instilled that my passion is 100% valid. And
Hmm.
I love sharing my little updates with you. Oh, I've got 2 eggs.
Yay!
I mean, there's 2 or 3 before that, but we're not crediting those because they're not from the right hens. So they're there, but we've got 2 eggs that we're really excited about.
I
So we'll
love
see.
that.
And maybe on another podcast, because everything we talked about, you could, like line breeding. You could talk about that for an hour, many
Literally.
hours,
Literally.
because there's so many factors.
Yes, absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
and I have a lot more questions.
So actually, this year, uh, 2023, is the American Poultry Association 150-year anniversary celebration. And the
It's a
semi-annual
big
show,
birthday.
it's a huge birthday. 150 years. The APA is America's longest or oldest and longest running livestock or animal association, which is pretty big deal.
Incredible.
Yeah, pretty amazing. But the semi-annual is going to be in Lodi, California, and then the actual national show, annual show, will be at the Ohio National is the name of the show, if that makes sense. Yeah, the organization, and frequently they host the national meet or the annual meet for the American Poultry Association or the American Bantam Association, sometimes both together. Just because they have such a large venue, it's very centrally located. It's an amazing show to attend. It's usually the largest show in the country. But the annual show for the associations can be held really anywhere. Well, I say anywhere, but really there's only 3, 4 venues that would really be able to accommodate that scale of a show.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, it's a teachable moment. There's so many things that I continue to learn. And, at one stage, I could be back in the US, and my passion, I don't feel that I will let go of what I've reclaimed with poultry. I feel
Mm-hmm.
that the return after 20 some odd years of being away from birds, from owning poultry, has just been reignited. And having all these contacts has been such an amazing resource. So knowing who to talk to, and taking those phone calls and investigating and taking trips. I'm looking forward to taking some trips outside of Switzerland, and continuing to travel throughout Switzerland and talking directly with breeders, seeing what people have um, in this country. It's so exciting. I've gotten to see a lot of really beautiful birds, and learn about the breeding, learn about how long they've been invested with the breeds they have and the varieties that they've been developing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna just say I can't wait till we reconnect in person and get to elaborate and further our relationship within this amazing passion.
Absolutely.
And
Can't wait to go back out there.
well, yeah, I can't wait till you come back and keep guiding me, because I'm only going to be better as a poultry breeder and owner of beautiful animals, with friendship and fellowship that I have
Mm-hmm.
within this community. Thanks to you. Thank you for your time. And I hope that you felt this was productive, and you got to be able to deep dive emotionally the many layers of what it takes to be involved, and to also to play to win,
Yes.
because you know exactly what it takes. So now I know. So watch out, Switzerland. I'm coming.
Watch out.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
You're just
But
getting
thank you
started.
so much, Christian. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
and that was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time and really like picking my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I brought out all my big guns. I was writing notes, and also looking at pictures, and these are the best references. Get all your literature in order. And also, I need to get a European standard, but I also have to take a class. And I guess these are two very helpful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll have to learn German together.
yeah, I'm pumping the brakes, but I'll get there eventually. So thank you for having me as your interviewer on your own podcast. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank
And I
you.
can't wait to hear it, and I can't wait to see who else you get to talk with in the next one.
You're listening to the Busy Beak Podcast, where we talk about all things bird, from parrots to chickens and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian Diaz. Follow us on social media at the Busy Beak.